Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you arguably the best man in esports entertainment. He is my co-casting partner. You know what? When we came into this, we were planning on, okay, there's going to be 3 casters, and we're going to be great. It's going to be fun, and I'm not going to lie to you, it's been an absolute blast. Like, fun is probably the mildest word that could describe how much of a good time we're having. But that being said, you know, there's going to be 3 of us casting all weekend long. Unfortunately, my colleague Noor Promise has been incapacitated. His computer got hit with a virus. It destroyed his box, and he's stuck reformatting today, so he's not able to join us in casting. He is horribly disappointed. But that being said, that means that Joj and I can cast, and we are having an absolute blast doing so. Joj, could you introduce these 2 players for me, please?
I sure can. In the bottom right-hand side of this map is Complexity Sasquatch, is the red Zerg player. He's been doing so well in this series. He just had it up 1-1. And in the top right-hand side is Clarity Gaming Shew, who took the first game in a very convincing fashion with a brilliantly timed and brilliantly executed Immortal Sentry timing, and wasn't quite able to keep up with Sasquatch in the second game. But he's looking to take the last game. This is the losers bracket. Sasquatch and Shew are both really wanting to move on. They're both well-known North American pros, and they want to prove what they're worth. And unfortunately, one of these guys has to go.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, because when you see both of these players playing at the skill level that they're playing at, I mean, they're both Grandmaster players, both very, very, very good at their craft. Sasquatch just taking the second game there, Shew taking the first. It's not that either of these players are without their merits. And then the problem but that's the problem, is you can only have one champion of the MLG Spring Championship 2013 in Anaheim. There can be only one. To coin a phrase from Highlander, that can be only one, and without chopping out each other's heads off. But at the end of the day, that's the disappointing thing, is one of these guys is going to have to pack up after this game and go home. Of course, they're probably not going to. They're probably going to enjoy the massive parties that are going on in Anaheim this evening. And speaking of things that you can get, well, if you're not in Anaheim and you wish that you could be in Anaheim, well, you can get yourself at least a 1080p feed, $9.99. Check it out. It is actually quite worthwhile. Certainly, StarCraft was developed to be streamed in a 1080p. The main channel is broadcasted in 1080p as well as subscriber-only chat. So get yourself subscription status for the weekend. $10. It's cheaper than going to the movies. So, and it's certainly a lot more fun. So there you go. And it looks like Shew is continuing on with this build of his, which, except this time around, it is I think that was a Forge Fast Expand and into a Gateway. Correct me if I'm mistaken.
No, that was it. It was a Forge Fast Expand. He did, I believe that was Forge first and then Nexus. He wanted to be absolutely safe. Sasquatch is a player who's known for his early aggression. He can do some ridiculous things to you and make you tear out your hair. So he wanted to make sure he didn't die on this map, on this last map in the losers bracket. But he is grabbing both of his gases now, and he's going to go into a standard opening, standard mid game. And Sasquatch has taken his fast 3 base off of the pool first, and he is also playing very standard. This is the most standard we've seen from either side. This is looking relatively normal.
Now, if people are wondering, okay, we use a lot of words when we're casting. Perhaps some of you who are new to StarCraft don't quite understand. Okay, so metagame, for example, is what's... It's not the actual game itself that we're talking about. What we're talking about is normally what we refer to. Metagame is effectively the common standard. What are most people playing right now? Generally, it's dictated by pro players, but at the same token, basically what it means is that if, for example, everybody is playing with Hellbat drops, and that is the most common thing everyone is doing, that is part of the metagame. The metagame is the strategy that's being most commonly employed. The other one is the word standard. What the heck does the word standard mean? I mean, if you sit down and look at StarCraft, the amount of build orders that are currently on, what would be considered standard? Standard is what is the metagame. So, for example, a standard build order would be a certain sequence that we are familiar with that would normally occur on a regular basis. And the outside of that would deviate from that is not standard. So typically it is metagame based. However, in this particular case, as you can see, everything is standard, so to speak. It is based on years and years of development, and the metagame shifts literally about every month or so. There's a new metagame. Somebody will come up with a new build, and away we go with it. And as Blizzard releases updates, as they make changes to the game, that changes the metagame, and then that particular build may become unstandard. Like, for example, an MVP2 Rax, a very common build from Wings of Liberty, would not be standard in Heart of the Swarm. It would be something that's a little bit out of the ordinary. Or going like 1-1 build, 1 build 2 still C. And they're not as standard. They are in their normal build. So you do see a lot of like fast expansion to 1-1-1 builds and then modifying that from there. But at the end of the day, if that's what you're wondering, that's what metagame and standard generally for the most part mean. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have I missed anything there, Joj?
No, we've been using a lot of terms like that. Yeah. Especially in games like this, where I get with high-level players that have been around for a long time, they will play with different builds than what a lot of people are used to because they've played each other probably on a ladder quite a bit. They've played with each other's teammates. They probably even practiced together intentionally because the North American scene is relatively close-knit. So they're going to be deviating from the stuff that they've practiced with each other, or played with each other in previous tournaments. So their play is going to be a little bit off compared to standard. But Sasquatch is going for the standard style right now. He's going for Roach, Hydralisks, adding on +1. He's going to add on Roach Speed here pretty quick. And he's at 66 workers, and he's feeling pretty comfortable that he's gotten to do everything that he wants to do. He's made it past the early game. He's in the mid game. There was no crazy timings coming out from the third player, and he's pretty happy with how this game is shaking out.
Yep, and it looks like he's got his Stargate down. He's got himself a Void Ray, which is going out, and it's headhunting a couple of Overlords that are loosely scattered throughout the map. This is going to force Sasquatch to be able to, well, he's going to have to pull back the bulk of his Overlords because they are going to get hunted down a fair bit. We do see that one over on the, I love watching these guys die. They explode so good. But anyway, at the end of the day, this Void Ray is racking up a couple of kills. There's a couple of Void Rays just running around taking care of business and taking care of that. Shew throwing down a pylon over on the left-hand side in what I guess you could say would be the 5th base location. I think that's what we expand to around that point in time. A probe just hightailing it with a drone in hot pursuit. And at the same token, and this is an interesting positional placement for this Nexus, and I'm kind of curious, what are your thoughts of placing the Nexus in the southernmost position towards your opponent as opposed to placing it in what would normally be the 3rd base location, just to the left of the natural?
That is a really great question and one I'm excited to talk about because I love it. So Shew has not opted for any robotics-based mid-game or army composition or gateway-based composition. He's opted for Stargate. He's made triple Stargate, and he's going to be making Void Rays for the mid-game. In the end game, he'll most likely transition to Tempests. So expanding towards your opponent when you have a basically unbreakable army, because attacking into air toss is very difficult, is going to work out just fine, especially when you're going to transition into Tempests, because you're going to have such short range for which to nuke with Tempests a faraway base safely. It's going to work out great for Shew, but here comes an engagement. There's Roach Hydra knocking out the door of Shew, but oh my goodness, the greatest force fields. This army is going to be cleaned up. A lot of sentries are going to go down, and that's quite a bit of gas, but it's not as much gas as Sasquatch is losing. So I'm not sure that this is working out to be the greatest for him. He might snipe 1 or 2 more buildings, but that engagement did not go as well as it could have.
No, it did not go well at all. He lost all of his forces. He did take care of some stuff, but realistically, the return on his investment certainly was not there. These Void Rays are still very, very strong, very, very powerful. It is a Roach Hydra miss, but unfortunately, Roachlings are now trying to show up. Roachlings don't do too well against air because, well, they don't shoot up against air. However, this is a very large force that is trying desperately to break in, and indeed it does that. There is a probe as well trying to stuff its way into the front door, and Ling and Roaches are going to work their way all the way up and into the main. It looks like they're target firing down the Nexus, and it is rapidly dropping in hit points. Void Rays are trying to cook all of these units and take care of it, but it is not enough. The Lings do get a kill on that Nexus before they die. So unfortunately for Shew, he is going to be down on economy at least for a short period of time until he can get his Nexus back up. As you can see, he immediately throws it down. He's got 3 Stargates going to town and working away on that. And as you can see, he's going to move out with the Void Rays that he does have, as well as the support of the Mothership Core and these 4 Zealots.
Yeah, and so behind that, so Sasquatch has made a push, and he sacrificed a lot of his army. He was doing a Ling Roach Hydra play, but he didn't get any Hydralisk upgrades. He got 0, not Roach, not Hydralisk speed, not Hydralisk range, and so he transitioned directly into Mutalisk after that. Now there are Mutalisks at the third of Shew, and they're doing good damage, but there's so many Void Rays, the Mutalisks can't actually continue at the third base. He's going to have to bounce around quite a bit more than he already is. And now there's Phoenix out of the map, and I don't foresee a dedicated airplay working out for Sasquatch at all.
Yep, absolutely. And the Mutalisks are going to show up. They're trying to get another break into that front door of the natural to see if they can do some continued damage. As you can see, Phoenix are now going to chase down these Mutalisks and get a lot of shots off. And more Phoenix are coming out. He's basically able to produce 3 air units at a time. Of course, if you chrono boost them, he can do it even faster. The only thing limiting him at this particular point in time is economy. His economy is somewhat hit right now as he's down a little bit of workers. But by down, I mean, we're not talking by a lot here. 89 to 63. Realistically, that's a lot of workers. Now that that natural is up and running, everything's looking very, very good for him. Shew's in a very good position. That being said, we take a look at Sasquatch. I mean, we've been focusing heavily on Shew. He's on 4 bases now, and he's looking very, very strong. He has an awful lot of workers. 89 workers is just absolutely insane. He needs to stop making them because it's going to start eating into his actual military supply. And he's looks like he's got a good creep highway working its way up. He's got some queens up front, some corruptors to help take care of things. But there's just so many Phoenix. They're literally two-shotting down these corruptors so quickly. And there's a good number of Hydralisks here as well to help defend. But looking at these Void Rays over on the right-hand side of things, it does not look good for Sasquatch at all. Shew about to push on in. This is just going to be exciting. Is he going to go straight for this hatch? Indeed he does. Where is the lair? Indeed, it's over in the natural, so that's at least a good change. He didn't lose his lair in the process, but you can see how powerful they are, and actually that's really smart. He's going to do a quick recall of those Void Rays to help defend this third base location just outside of his natural.
Yeah, and so this was an interesting choice by Sasquatch strategically, but there's a big engagement here with a ton of Phoenixes, a ton of Void Rays against Queen Ling Hydralisk. This is very weird. The Hydralisks don't have very many upgrades. They're only on +2 attack, and they're just getting muscular augments right now. That's still being researched. But Sasquatch may have done it. He may have broken, and there's not enough stuff from Shew besides his air units. A ton of the queens get lifted, but only 1 Phoenix is left not lifting something, and so they're otherwise occupied. They can't shoot. Sasquatch is actually in the middle of the line. All of the workers are full. The Hydralisks are doing so much damage to the probes, and the Phoenixes are going down. The Zealot Warpins are trying to deal with this army, but there's not enough stuff. Sasquatch has broken Shew. He may have just taken this game. This is a huge lead for Sasquatch.
Yes, absolutely. The queens are moving very, very slowly off the creep, so it's going to take them an awfully long time to get up to the natural. But more and more Hydralisks are showing up. Like you say, they do not have the speed upgrade. They are going to be quite slow off creep, but this third is done. And that means that basically, and actually, you know what, it went behind, throw down a couple more Nexus as well. In fact, he's going to throw down 3 of them, as well as a pylon just outside of his third. I don't know if... why would you even throw down 3 Nexus right in front of... in your third base location as opposed to just throwing down 1?
I've got no idea.
All right.
Literally none. I can't tell if he's trying to spell something or if he's going to make something more later or... Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little confused by that. Maybe it's just to bait. Yeah, I think it's no, that's it. He knew he was done, so I think that's why he did just spend his economy, and that's it. So Sasquatch victorious. He will advance. Shew. What's going to happen to Shew?
Shew is out. He is down and out, and that's too bad for Shew. Shew is a great player. It's too bad to see him go, but well played to both sides, and Sasquatch advances and continues on in the loser's bracket.
Yep, sorry to see you go, Shew, but you played well. You gave us a lot of really good games. Good luck on your future endeavors. On that note, though, says Sasquatch, good job. You're moving on. You're going to be continuing on to round 4 of the loser's bracket. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nightshade.
I'm Joe. Thank you guys for watching, and we're going to have our next game up for you as quick as we can.